You know, sometimes being chosen can feel more like a weight than a gift. People see something in you, your strength, your wisdom, your heart, and they assume you will always have it all together. They admire your light, but rarely ask about your darkness. Tell me honestly, have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt like you had to be the strong one, the wise one, the peaceful one, even when your own soul was exhausted? Have you ever smiled just to keep others from asking questions you are not ready to answer? If yes, you are not the only one. There are many people out there carrying the label of chosen like a secret burden. I want to ask you something personal. What if you were never meant to carry so much alone? What if being chosen does not mean being perfect? What if your calling includes rest, softness, and even uncertainty? We often think that purpose only comes with pressure. But what if real purpose comes with peace? You do not have to pretend anymore. You do not have to prove anything to anyone. And you definitely do not need to be everything for everyone. Sometimes the most powerful thing a chosen one can do is pause, to breathe, to simply be. So if your heart feels a little heavy right now, and this message already speaks to your soul, stay with me. You are not alone in this. You were not just chosen to carry others. You were chosen to be loved, too. Take a deep breath. This moment is for you. If this already hits your spirit, type 999 in the comments. Because what is coming next will shake chains off your destiny. Let us be honest for a second. Have you ever felt like people expect more from you than they do from others? Simply because of the way you carry yourself? Maybe they say things like, "You are so wise," or "You are not like the rest," or even "You have something different inside you." And while it might sound like a compliment at first, over time, it begins to feel like a quiet kind of pressure. That, right there, is where the chosen one syndrome begins. It is not a medical diagnosis or some kind of mental condition. It is more like an emotional pattern, a mindset that grows inside people who have always felt called to something greater. You might have heard the word chosen in spiritual terms, or maybe it came through your culture, your family, or your own internal voice. Either way, it created a quiet expectation inside you, an expectation to be stronger, to rise higher, to never show weakness. Sounds familiar? Let me paint a picture. Imagine a child who is always told, "You are the smart one," or "You are the one we all depend on." That child starts believing that their worth is connected to performance. They become the one who never breaks down, who holds everyone else together, even when they are falling apart inside. And as they grow up, that belief turns into a lifestyle, one where they are allowed to help but never ask for help. That is the chosen one syndrome. It is the inner feeling that you must always be there for others, while silently hiding your own needs. Now, I am not saying there is anything wrong with being gifted, spiritual, or strong. In fact, that is beautiful. But the problem begins when we confuse being chosen with being perfect. That is where the pain begins to build. The syndrome often shows up like this. Do you feel drained after social interactions because you are always giving, never receiving? Do you struggle to ask for help because you feel like you are supposed to have it all figured out? Do you isolate yourself because it seems easier than explaining your thoughts to people who might not understand? Do you feel responsible for other people's healing, happiness, or transformation? And the toughest part? Most people around you might not even notice it. Because you carry your struggles so gracefully, they assume you are fine. But let me tell you something important. Being chosen should not feel like a punishment. It should not steal your joy. It should not leave you feeling empty at the end of the day. Being chosen simply means that you have a deep sensitivity, a powerful inner light, and a purpose that goes beyond the surface. But that purpose was never meant to exhaust you. It was meant to flow through you. Have you ever stopped to wonder who chose you and why? Because sometimes we pick up roles and identities that were never actually ours to carry. Maybe you thought being strong was your job, when in reality, it was just a temporary season. Maybe you accepted the role of the healer without realizing that healers need healing, too. Here is the truth. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to be seen. You are allowed to be human. Chosen One syndrome is not about pride or ego. It is about forgetting that even the most powerful souls need softness. Even the sun has to set. So if this is resonating with you, take a deep breath. You are not broken. You are just tired of pretending to be superhuman all the time. And that is the first sign that your healing has already begun. Let us take a moment and go deeper now, because to understand the Chosen One syndrome, you must know where it truly begins. It does not just appear out of nowhere. It has roots, and often, those roots are buried deep in childhood. Think back for a second. Do you remember ever being the one who was different from everyone else? Maybe you felt like the outsider in your own home. Perhaps you were the quiet observer in a loud classroom, or the one who asked questions no one else seemed to care about. These moments, though they may seem small, plant seeds in the subconscious mind. Over time, the belief starts forming. Maybe I am here for something more. Maybe I am supposed to be different. And while this can be empowering, if left unbalanced, it creates a silent pressure. You start feeling responsible for everyone's healing, for fixing everything, for being the light, even when your own soul feels tired. That pressure, my friend, can become heavy. And this is where the Chosen One syndrome quietly starts taking shape. It often begins in families where love was present, but emotional connection was missing. For example, a child who had to grow up fast because their parents were emotionally unavailable or overwhelmed may have developed this internal voice that said, "If I stay strong, maybe everything will be okay." Some of you might relate deeply to that. There is also another root: spiritual trauma. If you were raised in an environment where being different was seen as wrong, or if you were told that your sensitivity, your gifts, or your voice were too much, then you may have developed a kind of inner loneliness. That feeling of being misunderstood often gets transformed into this silent mission to prove your worth by saving the world. And that, right there, is where the identity gets mixed with the burden. But here is something most people do not realize. Not all wounds are created by pain. Some are created by silence. Silence from your family when you needed their validation. Silence from friends when you showed your true emotions. Silence from society when you tried to speak truth. These silent moments build internal narratives like, "I am on my own. No one will understand me. Maybe I am chosen because no one else can do this but me." Have you ever felt that way? Now, I want to be clear, feeling called or set apart is not the problem. That can be a beautiful thing. The problem begins when this special identity starts isolating you instead of connecting you. When your sense of purpose turns into a burden of being perfect, or when you start thinking that if you make one mistake, everything will collapse. It is exhausting to live like that. The truth is, many chosen ones carry an unconscious sense of over-responsibility. They want to heal their families, uplift their communities, protect everyone around them, even at the cost of their own peace. But who protects them? That is the real question. So the roots of this syndrome are not always visible, but they run deep. Emotional neglect, early spiritual awakening, misinterpretation of purpose, or even just being too mature for your age. All of these play a role. And unless you consciously bring these roots into awareness, they quietly shape how you show up in the world, often draining your energy in the name of being good or staying strong. But you are not here to be a savior. You are here to be whole. You are not here to prove your light by burning yourself out. You are here to let your light shine naturally. No pressure, no pretending. So I want you to ask yourself today, where did this all begin for me? Was it a moment? Was it a pattern? Or was it simply the silence? Because once you trace the root, you can begin to reclaim your power. Have you ever felt like you are carrying the entire world on your shoulders? Like if you do not step in and fix everything, then everything will fall apart? If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. This is one of the most silent and heavy traps of the chosen one experience. The trap of false responsibility. When you grow up always feeling different, gifted, or spiritually ahead, you may start to believe that it is your duty to solve every problem, heal every wound, and be available for everyone, all the time. This mindset does not start overnight. It usually begins in childhood, where maybe you were the emotionally mature one in a family full of chaos. Or perhaps you were the listener in your friend group while others offloaded their pain onto you. Slowly, without even realizing it, you may begin to confuse love with responsibility. You start thinking, if I truly love them, I should fix them. And that is where the problem starts. Let me ask you something. Who told you that healing someone else is your job? When did we start believing that being spiritual means being available to everyone at all times, even at the cost of our peace? Is that truly divine service? Or are we being drained in the name of compassion? There is a difference between supporting someone and carrying their entire burden. One uplifts, the other exhausts. One creates connection, the other creates silent resentment. False responsibility sounds noble, but it slowly eats away at your energy, your time, and eventually your sense of self. Let me share something personal. There was a time when I would say yes to everything. Someone needed help moving? I was there. Someone was emotionally breaking down at 2 a.m.? I was the call. And while I appeared strong on the outside, I was crumbling inside. I did not even have the energy left for my own healing because I was too busy managing everyone else's emotions. And guess what? Most of them did not even ask for help. I just assumed they needed saving. And that is the trap. Assuming responsibility that was never yours to begin with. You may feel guilty when you say no. You may even be called selfish. But let me remind you of something important. Boundaries are not rejection. They are protection. When you take on things that are not yours, you rob others of their chance to grow, learn, and take accountability. You are not doing them a favor. You are holding them back. We need to stop confusing spiritual maturity with emotional martyrdom. True power is not in how much pain you can absorb for others. It is in how clearly you can recognize your role and walk away when that role becomes toxic. You are not a sponge for other people's suffering. You are a light, and light does not become darkness to make others feel seen. It shines so others can find their way. So, ask yourself, what burdens am I carrying right now that are not mine? Who am I trying to save, and why? Am I acting from love or from guilt? There is freedom in saying, this is not mine to carry. There is strength in saying, I choose peace over pressure. You can still love people deeply and yet not make their healing your responsibility. And honestly, when you do that, something shifts. You become lighter. You become clearer. And ironically, people begin to respect your boundaries more. Because now, you are no longer serving from exhaustion. You are serving from overflow. Let us pause for a moment and think about this. How often do you really take care of yourself? I am not just talking about going to the gym or drinking more water, though those are important. I mean real, intentional, soul-level care. The kind that honors your spirit, calms your nervous system, and reminds you that you matter even when no one else is watching. Many people assume that self-care is just a trend or something selfish. But the truth is, self-care is deeply spiritual. It is not about being lazy or avoiding responsibilities. It is about saying to yourself, I am sacred. I am worthy of being nurtured. And let us be honest. When was the last time you truly slowed down and checked in with your heart? In the middle of life's chaos, chosen ones often carry burdens that are not even theirs. They give give, and give until there is nothing left inside. They forget that even the most divine souls need refueling. You cannot pour from an empty cup, right? So why do we wait until we are completely drained before we allow ourselves to rest? You see, when you treat your body, your mind, and your soul with kindness, you are aligning with a higher energy. You are saying to the universe, I respect the vessel you gave me. And guess what? That alignment opens doors mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. One of my close friends used to believe that rest was weakness. She was always pushing, always striving, always tired. Until one day, her body literally said, that is enough. She fell into a period of burnout so deep that even simple tasks felt like mountains. But in that quiet place, she learned something powerful. Rest is holy. Stillness is sacred. She began to meditate more, journal her thoughts, walk barefoot in nature, light a candle and just breathe. And slowly, the pieces came back together. Now she says something that has stuck with me. Taking care of myself is how I say thank you to God for giving me life. Is that not beautiful? You deserve to feel good in your body. You deserve to feel peace in your mind. And you absolutely deserve to feel light in your spirit. But that starts with making time for yourself, even when the world keeps pulling you in different directions. So let me ask you, what small thing can you do today that feels nourishing? Maybe it is saying no to someone because your energy is low. Maybe it is waking up a bit earlier just to sit in silence. Or maybe it is doing something creative, like painting or dancing, without worrying if you are good at it. This is not about perfection. It is about presence. Self-care is not a destination. It is a daily decision. Some days you will get it right, other days you will forget. But the more you make yourself a priority, the more your spirit will thank you. There is something magnetic about a person who takes care of their inner world. They walk differently. They speak with calm. Their energy is grounded. That can be you. So take the nap. Drink the tea. Cry if you need to. Laugh even when it makes no sense. Let yourself be human. Let yourself be whole. You were never meant to be a machine. You were created to shine. Now tell me in the comments, what is one loving thing you are going to do for yourself this week? I really want to know. Because when one chosen one heals, it gives others permission to do the same. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly seen, heard, and understood without judgment? See, when you carry the weight of being the chosen one, it can sometimes feel like you are walking through life completely alone, like nobody around you can truly relate to your struggles, your purpose, or your inner battles. And while solitude can be sacred for growth, isolation can be a silent destroyer of your spirit. That is where community becomes your greatest medicine. You know, we live in a world that constantly tells us to be independent, do it alone, and stay strong no matter what. But here is the truth most people are afraid to admit. Even the strongest souls need support. Even those with divine missions need others to lean on. You were never meant to carry everything alone. A real community is not just about people being physically near you. It is about having a circle where your spirit feels safe. A space where your scars are not something to hide, but something that others honor. A space where you are not just tolerated. You are celebrated for who you are. I remember talking to someone who said, I always thought my healing would come in private, through meditation and silence. But the moment I shared my story in a small group, something shifted. People cried with me. They nodded. They said, me too. And that moment healed something in me that silence never could. That is the kind of connection we all deserve. When you find the right people, people who speak your soul's language, you begin to feel lighter. You laugh more freely. You stop pretending. And guess what? You heal faster. Because pain often grows in silence, but healing happens in safe conversations. Maybe right now, you feel like nobody understands your path. Maybe you have been hiding your pain because every time you opened up in the past, people used it against you. That is valid, but I promise you, not every space is unsafe. You just have not found your tribe yet, but your tribe is searching for you too. Start small. Join a circle. Start a spiritual journal group. Open up to one person you trust. Even leaving a heartfelt comment on a video like this can open a doorway to connection. Sometimes, the smallest brave action leads to the biggest shift in your heart. Also, here is something we often forget. Community does not just give, it reflects. When you support someone else's healing, your own soul softens too. That moment you listen without judgment, you become a healer. That time you share your lesson, someone else avoids the same mistake. You become a vessel. Let us be honest. Life is already hard. There is no badge of honor for suffering in silence. There is power in vulnerability. There is courage in saying, I need support. And there is divine strength in knowing you were never supposed to do this alone. If you feel like you are still searching for your people, keep going. They exist. They are out there praying to meet someone like you too. And when souls like yours gather, something powerful happens. You remind each other who you are. So I invite you today, reach out. Let someone in. Ask yourself, where do I feel seen and safe? And if the answer is nowhere, then maybe it is time to build that space. Be the community you wish you had. Because there are others out there feeling exactly how you feel right now, just waiting for one soul to go first. Let that soul be you. Let us be real for a moment. Have you ever looked at yourself and felt like you were failing at being the chosen one? Like you were supposed to have it all figured out by now? Like your path should look cleaner, more confident, more perfect? But what if I told you that the cracks in your path are where the light is actually entering? You see, there is a dangerous belief floating around in the spiritual community. This idea that being chosen means you must always be strong, always aligned, always unshakable. But that is not truth. That is pressure dressed up as purpose. And pressure like that can quietly crush you. Here is the thing nobody says out loud. Imperfection is holy. Yes, even the parts of you that are messy, the doubts that shake you at midnight, the anger you feel when nothing makes sense. All of it belongs. Think about it this way. A diamond does not become precious because it is smooth from the start. It gets cut, pressed, shaped, over and over again. Just like you. Every wound, every flaw, every breakdown is part of the design. I want you to hear this with your whole heart. You are allowed to be divine and still healing. You are allowed to be gifted and still confused. You are allowed to carry light and still have moments where you sit in the dark trying to find it again. Some of the most powerful people I have ever met were not the ones who had it all figured out. They were the ones who stayed in the game, even when life hit hard. They were raw, real, unpolished, and because of that, they were magnetic. Let me share something personal. There was a phase in my own journey when I was too hard on myself. I felt like if I showed any weakness, people would question my calling. So I kept trying to fix everything, my habits, my emotions, my background. But the more I tried to fix myself, the more distant I felt from the power I used to feel. Do you know what brought it back? Acceptance. I stopped trying to perfect myself and started trusting the process. That shift gave me peace, and peace gave me power. Ask yourself this. Why are you trying to hide the parts that made you who you are? That moment you failed and kept going, that was sacred. That day you cried alone but still showed up, that was strength. That time you doubted your worth but still held someone else in love, that was divine. Perfection was never the requirement. Presence is. You were not chosen to be flawless. You were chosen to be real. And being real means being human. It means learning as you go, growing in layers, and letting your imperfections become your fingerprint of authenticity. When you embrace your humanity, your energy becomes relatable. People feel you, not just admire you. And when people can feel you, they trust you. That is where your real power starts to bloom. So the next time you feel like you are not enough to carry your calling, remember, the very fact that you care about getting it right means your heart is already in the right place. That is what matters. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. And sometimes, the becoming looks like being undone. So I will leave you with this. What if your imperfections are not in the way of your purpose, but actually the way to it? Let that sit with you. You know, there comes a moment in every chosen one's life where things stop making sense on the outside, because something much deeper has started shifting on the inside. Have you ever felt like, even after trying your best, something still feels off? Like you are doing everything right, but it does not feel right? That moment is often the beginning of your spiritual reset. Let us be real. Ego is loud. It wants validation, it wants control, and it wants to prove itself. But the soul whispers. It guides gently. It leads you toward peace, not performance. And that shift from ego to purpose is not always comfortable, but it is deeply necessary. So many of us, especially when we start walking the spiritual path, confuse success with spotlight. We think living our purpose means being seen, praised, or celebrated. But truthfully, real purpose is not always loud. It is not always Instagrammable. Sometimes, purpose is you sitting in silence, breaking a generational curse nobody even knows about. Sometimes, purpose is you forgiving someone who hurt you, not for them, but so that your heart can breathe freely again. And to make that shift from ego to purpose, you have to be willing to let go of the image. Yes, that image, the one your ego built, the version of yourself that wanted to prove, impress, and control. That version was doing its best, but now your soul is calling for more. Let me ask you, when was the last time you felt truly peaceful? Not happy because of a compliment or recognition. I mean peaceful, the kind that comes when your actions are aligned with something bigger than yourself. That is purpose. That is power. Sometimes, people think letting go of ego means losing confidence. But that is not true. Letting go of ego actually gives you unshakable confidence. Because now, your worth is not tied to people's opinions. Now, your steps are not directed by fear of missing out. Instead, they are aligned with divine timing. Have you ever noticed that the more ego-driven you are, the more drained you feel? That is because ego requires constant feeding, praise, attention, comparison. But purpose? Purpose fuels you. You can do less, but feel more fulfilled. You can give without expecting. You can show up without needing applause. That is real freedom. Let me share something personal. There was a time when I felt like I needed to be the best in every room. I would walk in already calculating how to prove myself. But over time, I realized that proving myself meant I had not accepted myself. That was ego talking. It took slowing down, getting quiet, journaling, praying, and letting myself feel things I had buried. It was not easy, but it was beautiful. That was my spiritual reset. You might be there right now. Maybe life feels chaotic, not because things are going wrong, but because your spirit is being realigned. Let that process happen. Cry if you need to. Rest if you must. But do not quit on yourself. Ask yourself this today. Am I doing this for applause, or am I doing this because it aligns with who I truly am? That one question can change everything, because purpose does not scream. It whispers. It is not rushed. It is patient, and it is already written inside you. You just have to be willing to remember. So breathe. Let go of what you were told to be, and step into who you already are. Your reset is not your ending. It is your becoming. Now breathe. Put your hand on your chest, and repeat. From this day forward, I release the pressure to be perfect. I accept the grace to just be me. I am human, I am holy. I am held. Pause. Feel that truth. God is not angry at your exhaustion. He wants to refill you. If your spirit feels lighter, if your soul knows this was truth, then don't stay silent. Type 999 in the comments to activate this release in your life. Declare it boldly. I am human and holy. And if this message brought you peace, clarity, or confirmation, a like this video, a share it with someone carrying the same weight, a subscribe to stay aligned. Your healing has already begun. Walk in it. You are seen. You are chosen. You are free. You are not chosen to suffer silently. You are chosen to live fully.